Hello and welcome to my first sit-down YouTube video. Hopefully the first of many, but this will be a bit of a new experience for me and I'd appreciate any feedback as well. So I wanted to introduce myself a little bit for those of you who don't know who I am, and then I'm going to lead that into a Q&A or question and answer. I'm going to be using a bunch of questions that I've received recently in talks that I've given through January. And so they're obviously questions that people are interested in. Down the line, maybe I'll do another question and answer video with specifically your questions that you could send in. So first off, my name's Ben Broadhead and I'm a personal trainer specializing in working with over 50s and all the way up to sort of people in their early hundreds, particularly at some of the care homes that I visit. And you'd be surprised how much exercise they're actually able to do as well at that age. But the ethos of my work is to try and help my clients become more functional and then, by extension, to become more independent. And I focus a lot around strength exercise because that's where I see my clients get the most bang for their buck. Now, the first question, and actually this isn't just a one-off, this is a question that I get at pretty much all of my talks, and I thought it'd be a good way to, give some more context of who I am. It's when people ask, how did I get into my work, basically, what kind of led me there. And so, starting personal training in general was kind of an obvious choice for me because I didn't have many other kind of skills by the time that I left school or any kind of academic sort of prowess in any specific area. But I did love the gym, and so that sort of felt like my last hope. So I did my course in London and became a personal trainer. And I started off at a commercial gym, as kind of most personal trainers do. And I really enjoyed it and I learned an awful lot there. It was a good environment for me to be in because there was lots of other personal trainers who were more experienced that I could learn from. And it gave me the chance to start teaching some group classes as well and to learn how that works. However, I did find it quite boring. I didn't like being in one place all day. And this particular gym also happened to be underground. So I wasn't getting a lot of vitamin D. And I wanted to be out in the community and just moving around a little bit more. So I started mobile personal training. And that simply means taking the gym to the client, or having kit in your car and going to the client, training them at their house. So I did that for a little while, but quite quickly observed that I was actually attracting lots, or I'd say a disproportionate amount of clients who were in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s, which was quite an unusual trend. And I think in retrospect, I could maybe attribute that to the fact that I'm a reasonably open, friendly person. And so people who are kind of starting later in life that might be apprehensive would see me as being approachable. But honestly, I don't know why that pattern was occurring. But the important thing was that I enjoyed it. I really felt that I could build good rapport with that clientele. They, of course, could kind of mentor me in ways as well because they were more established in life and I was starting a small business. So it was quite a kind of reciprocal relationship in terms of the value we were each offering each other, and it was nice. But more than that, I could see that the way they were benefiting from the exercise was really profound and quite distinctly different from my previous clientele at the gym. So to give that some more context, working with kind of people my age group or maybe a little bit older, middle-aged at the gym, most of their focus was on appearance. Sometimes you'd have people that would play a sport and so they're training in a slightly more specific way tailored to that sport. But it was primarily appearance-based, maybe if they're a wedding, a holiday, or just general looks, basically. And that's not something to be undermined. I mean, looking good and feeling good as a consequence is really important, and it is rewarding being able to play a part in that as a personal trainer. But I found that when I was working with people in their 70s and 80s, their focus was much more on their functionality, so their ability to kind of undergo daily tasks and to be able to live their life to the fullest and engage it with their normal activities without being kind of inhibited in any way. And so that, to me, kind of stands out as being a lot more meaningful because it's having a more significant impact on their life. Particularly if someone gets, stronger legs by working with me and then is able to walk better than they could, or they can walk further. Maybe they don't need a walking stick. Things of that nature started occurring, and I thought, wow, this is really meaningful. I'm seeing tangible changes in people that are like things that I didn't necessarily think were possible. And so that's why I really got hooked on what I was doing and decided to kind of niche down and focus in that specific area. The second question is one that I got at my most recent talk, which was in Woodley near Reading. And this lady said that she was perimenopausal, and she's kind of heard from lots of friends or different sources that she really ought to be doing some strength exercise, which is absolutely true. It's quite crucial at that point because you're going through a process where your body is starting to lose muscle tissue and lose strength. And so you need to kind of start to work to offset that process. But actually it applies to lots of people. Anyone who's kind of going through the aging process may be experiencing some muscle loss. In fact, all of us do experience a degree of muscle loss from about age 30 onwards after we've sort of peaked. But she was absolutely spot on. And what she said is that she wanted something really simple to do, something really easy. She's obviously someone that wouldn't otherwise be doing strength training. It's not necessarily something that captures her interest, but she felt it was necessary. And she wanted to do something easy, simple, and she wanted to do something at home as well. She didn't want to have to go to the gym, which actually I really personally support that, because I think if you don't enjoy the gym and you're trying to force yourself to go there, you're just adding another layer of resistance, which is going to reduce the likelihood that you keep up that habit, that it's sustainable for you. And the most important thing is that we do something which is sustainable, that we can keep up for 10, 20, 30 years, ideally. And that's where we see the most benefit. So I suggested to her to do 5 different exercises. And I said, pick 5 and do the exact same exercises every time, because what that means for her, because I could see her character, her personality, and I could see that having something really straightforward that required no mental exertion was going to be best. So I said, do the same 5 exercises every time. And the reason I picked 5 is because it's enough that you can cover the whole body, essentially. And I suggested that she gets a resistance band as well, so that she can do some of these without having to go to the gym, so without the need for dumbbells. The first exercise I suggested is some variation of a squat, so something where she's pushing with her legs. So that could be a squat. It could equally be, standing up from a chair and sitting down. It could be looping the resistance band under her foot and then pressing with the leg while holding the band. So that's number 1, a pressing movement with the legs. And that's to work, the glutes and the quads primarily. The second exercise I suggested was something where she was hinging from the hips. That's again to work the glutes a little bit, but also the hamstrings on the back of the legs and muscles of the lower back. So your erector muscles, which kind of go down either side of the spine. So for that, it could be something like what we call a Romanian deadlift, which is where you're holding some dumbbells or in this case, holding a resistance band, and you're hinging forwards from the hips and then standing up tall. The third exercise I suggested was anything where she's pushing with the arms. Now this could be a push-up. Obviously the scaled down version of that would be a knee push-up where you're doing it from your knees. But also you can put the resistance band around your back, hold each end and just push forwards. So that's going to work the pec muscles, the shoulders and the triceps. The fourth exercise I suggested was something where she's pulling with the upper body. So you've got something where you're pushing and something where you're pulling. So that's covering all different muscle groups basically. So when she's going to pull like this, she's going to use mainly her back muscles, some of the big muscles in the back, and also the biceps. So for that, again, you can hold the band on each end. You could just loop the middle part over your foot to hold it in place and just pull. And then the fifth exercise I suggested was just anything for the kind of core muscles or for the ab muscles. So that could be sit-ups, it could be holding a plank, anything that's going to work the ab muscles.